Hey, hello everyone. My name is Ren Zhaoyu, and so I will present our next work about strategy analysis in NFL using probabilistic reasoning. As our previous presentation also mentioned about NFL is a highly strategic sports, but we found that there is a significant gap in understanding how different strategies impact the game outcomes in the NFL. Where the subtle decisions made by players or team dynamics and like strategic choices remain like unexplored. So we want to use the probabilistic reasoning techniques that we introduced like this morning, also in the sports of American football. So we developed a probabilistic model for the NFL gameplay, and these can be used to forecast the outcomes of NFL drives. And we deliver like strategic recommendations to enhance the team performance. And here is just like a brief introduction of the key rules for NFL. Sorry that I'm not an expert for NFL, so I wrote down the rules. So the fundamental aim in the American football is to score the point through the field goal or touchdowns, and each offering a different score value. So the game is played between two teams. One is the offensive team, and which drives the ball towards the opponent's end zone. And for the defensive team, they aim to stop this like advance. So the offensive team is given 4 attempts, or we can call it downs. So 4 downs to move the ball at least 10 yards forward. So successfully doing so will reset the count of downs. So if like forward from 20 to 30, you have 4 more chances, allowing them like further attempts to progress. Failure covering required distance within the 4 downs will result in the ball being turned over by the opposing team. Yeah, so this is like the basic rules. And here are some just key terminologies in the NFL. So like drive represent the sequence of plays under the possession of the offensive team, concluding when the ball changes the hands. And down is just one attempt for the offensive team to like advance the ball. Touchdown means when a player carries the ball across the opponent's goal line or like secures catches in the end zone. So this will reward of 6 points. And field goal is by kicking the ball through the opponent's goal post. This will have a reward 3 points. For the yard is the unit of measurements used in the field to like gauge distance. And the punt is a strategy move usually executed on the last down when the offensive team will like kick the ball to push the opposing team further back. Yeah. And this diagram just show our flow of our approach. So starting, we will first determine what is the current down, first, second, third, or fourth, and also determine the current offensive team field zone. We separate the 100-yard court into 4 zones, 0 to 25, 25 to 50, so on and so forth. After knowing these 2 parameters, we can, based on these, determines the play probabilistically. And those are the possible like plays: run, pass, incomplete pass, field goal, punt, and also like have some certain probability like have turnovers. Well, among those like plays for runs and passes, we need to know how many yards does like this play like advance. And for like a field goal, the possible outcome is like scoring a goal and also like turnovers. And after evaluation play outcomes, we will update the state variables, and we will see whether the drive is still in play. If it is still in play, we go to the next down. If it's not, we will just end the simulation of this NFL drive. Yeah, and as just now mentioned, a crucial aspect of our model was to precisely determine the yard gains during running and the passing gains. So we segment the yard gains into 4 yard, based on like 4 yard intervals, 0, 4, 8, so on and so forth. And we calculate the probability of a team advancing by 0 yard or between 1 to 4 yards, so on and so forth. And utilizing these probabilities, we determine the play outcomes. So this diagram just shows like an example probability distribution of yard gains for like the play of running. But so this is like derived from actual match data. But we can observe that the data is quite sparse, and there exist many empty intervals. So we actually want to turn this diagram into some probability distribution models so that we can calculate the expected yard gains. Yeah, so we have tried different distribution models, and in order to better reflect this so-called long tail characteristic, which we find quite common, so we finally use the gamma distribution. Yeah. So another challenge encountered for the yard gains for passing plays is that usually there are like many incomplete passes. And for incomplete pass, it will result in a yard gain of 0, which makes like if we directly use the gamma distribution, it will seriously bias towards 0. So yeah, actually, by removing the 0 yard gain, by removing the incomplete passes, so this like gamma distribution looks much more better. Okay, and then we conduct our experiments on NFL matches. So we use the data is like play-by-play reports in the NFL matches. So our model focuses on 2 aspects. First is the probability of scoring a field goal, and the second is the probability of achieving touchdown. So so we basically build a model, and here is just like an example between the offensive team we set is Kansas City, the defensive team is New York Jets. So we experimented with different combinations of down number and also the initial position of the offensive team, and observed the impact on the probability of scoring either a field goal or touchdowns. And actually, we can see like a general pattern is that when the offensive team is closer to the end zones, it tends to have a like higher probability of scoring either a field goal or a touchdown, which makes sense. But also it highly determines on the numbers of, the current down number. Yeah. So another like preliminary experiments we have done is that we compare the performance of Kansas City against like 2 different teams. One is New York Jets, we mentioned just now, and the other team is BAL. And we know that BAL has much higher ELO ranking than NYJ. So we expect that Kansas City should have like a better performance against New York Jets than BAL. And actually, the table below shows the patterns. So this actually suggests our model is producing outcomes that change based on like relative team skills. Yeah. And we also observe that as as the yard increases, the the difference of like difference of probability of like having a touchdown, scoring a touchdown between NYJ and BAL, the difference is actually like increasing. Okay, so in conclusion, in this work we have developed a probabilistic reasoning model in NFL. So this model can forecast NFL-derived outcomes and also provide strategic insights. And it enables in-depth examination of how various team strategies affects the chances of scoring. And our alternative goal is to generalize these probabilistic reasoning ideas to like different kind of sports events. Yeah, that's all. Thank you.
So my question was, what's so special about American football that almost all the studies were about? Is it because data is very available, or because it's just so many goals, so like so many actions, so we have a lot of things to learn? I don't know why it's so specific about American football.
Yeah, I think the data is the key. I think American football really got a lot of data available online, also very detailed data, and that's the key in sports analytics. For example, the studies we have done in tennis, usually it's not a lot of data there, and especially for like tennis doubles matches, there's no like much recorded data for us to develop. And actually NFL provide much more data for us to develop the model and conduct all the analytics. Yeah.
So I think within the Olympic Games in Paris, we will get a lot of data that we will send to you, okay?
Yeah.
So that you can have at
That
least
would be great.
You have to put
different type of data.
You have to put sensors on the athletes.
Thank you for the presentation. What are you to talk more, give other examples of some of the strategic insights you feel that can come from the probabilistic model? And in addition to are you mainly talking about like the likelihood of the field goal or the touchdown or yeah?
Yeah, I think I didn't mention much about the other strategic insights that we can come up with from the probabilistic models. But yeah, I mean, so these are just like outcomes that we obtain from our probabilistic models, the probability of scoring field goals or like scoring touchdowns. But we can also maybe by changing like the probability of the team doing runs or passes, and we can like manually change those probabilities and see how it affects the probability of scoring goals, so that we can come up with maybe better strategies for coaches, to implement in the match.
Yeah, I mean, so like during the game, the coach would have your model and like, I'm at this yard and this is the opponent. And then if I do this or that, what's the likelihood of the next play? Yeah, that'd be really cool. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
So, based on the numbers that you found in your study, do you agree or do you find that the numbers disagree with the aggressive trend towards passing in the NFL? That suddenly, they've really abandoned the run unlike before?
Sorry, you mean from the numbers?
Yes, the distributions. Yes, those two.
Oh, sorry, the distributions.
Yes. your reading of them, do you feel as though it's justified that they would move stronger towards or more aggressively towards passing in the NFL? As a result of the histograms you have?
You mean by removing the like incomplete pass, you mean?
Yes, yes. I guess what's your opinion on?
Yeah.
running versus
So
passing?
what I mentioned here is like, if usually like for most passes, a lot of them are like incomplete. So which have a like I mean, gains of 0 yards. Yeah, so, but if we like consider this in the gamma distribution, it will like highly bias towards 0. So we decide to like remove those incomplete paths when we build the like distribution models, so that yeah. So basically our idea is trying to know the like fence yards for different like choices, like run passes, incomplete pass. So we just separate like incomplete pass from the pass. Yeah. Yeah, for pass, we just mean the pass is like complete. Yeah.
You showed the probabilistic outcomes, table 1, I think. Did you compare these outcomes that you have with the actual data?
Yeah, actually the data is yeah, I mean captured from historical matches between like these two teams. It's kind of hard to directly compare these probabilistic scores with like what will happen in the real matches, right?
Because you have like, that
Limited.
90 yards, you got third down, and then you are saying the probability of 0.29. So did you compare with the actual data that also that 90-yard third down and didn't match up with your?
Yes, so I thank you for the question. I think, yeah, it's kind of hard to like directly compare with actual results, because for different cases, they kind of rare, and it may have a lot of like uncertainties. For example, maybe at the first, down 1 and the position maybe 90, they may not occur like so many times in the next match. So it's kind of hard to direct.
Yeah, I understand. That's why I was quite keen to know. Otherwise, anybody can come up with some numbers, and then how do you validate it?
Yeah, maybe we in the future work we need to find ways to justify whether these numbers.
Anyone else? No. Good, thank you very much.